What we're doing today is just an extension of what we had done on the last lesson, and it's still adding and subtracting fractions, but it's looking at it when one of the things that we're adding or subtracting is a whole number. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. So if you look at this first one here, I have a 3t minus 2 over t. So this 3t is still a whole number. This one is a fraction. The 2 over t is a fraction. So when that happens, what I would recommend is, let's rewrite the problem. But my recommendation would be to look for the whole number, and then to make it a fraction. Remember, to make anything a fraction, you just put it over 1, okay? And then now we're starting again. Now we have two fractions, okay? Just like what we did yesterday, let's look at the denominators. And what's their common denominator that these guys have? Their common denominator is t. Okay, if you look at the second fraction, we didn't change anything since the denominator was already t, so I can leave that 2 up there. But right here in this first one, how did I get from 1 to t? I had to multiply a t to the bottom. Remember, whatever I do to the bottom, I'm going to have to do to the top. So that means that on the top now, I'm going to end up having 3t times t is going to be t squared. Okay, and from my rules from yesterday, what I do is I keep the denominator and combine the tops, and that's as much as I can do it. Remember, I can't cancel out these t's because I have that minus 2 attached to it, so that's all I can do with this. So final answer for this is 3t squared minus t. So pretty straightforward, just extending and giving you a little more practice with this, okay? So looking at number 2, x over x minus 1 minus 5. So look for the whole number, which is the 5 in this case. And you want to put it over 1 so that you can make it a fraction. So I have x over x minus 1 minus 5 over 1. And so what's my common denominator in this problem? My common denominator in this problem is going to be x minus 1, okay? So I have an x minus 1 here. I have an x minus 1 there. Okay, this first fraction, nothing changed. What did I have to multiply to 1 to get x minus 1? So to multiply to get x minus 1, all I had to do is just multiply an x minus 1 there, okay? So if I have an x minus 1 on the bottom, that means I have to have one on the top. So on the top, what I'm going to have is 5x minus 1, okay? Remember my rules, keep the bottom, combine the tops. And so we have that darn negative again in front of that negative 5. So what do you think I'm going to end up having to do there? So instead of just distributing a regular 5 in through there, what I'm going to end up having to do is distribute a negative 5, okay? So my real top now is going to be that x that's right there. When I distribute that negative 5 in, I have negative 5x. And instead of negative 1, I'm going to have plus 1. And that's all over x minus 1. Simplify the tops, collect like terms. So x minus 5x is going to be a negative 4x. This plus 1 has no one to combine with, so I just drop them down. And then I have an x minus 1 there. And it's as simple as I could get because I can't factor anything. So final answer for this, final answer for this is negative 4x plus 1. So a troubled area that you might have was looking at this. When I got the common denominator, people might have been confused as to why I multiplied an x minus 1 instead of just an x. Remember that this 1 is just there, like when you do 1 times 2, it equals 2. It's just like that idea of when you multiply something by it, it ends up being itself. So you're not going to just multiply an x. If you just multiply an x there, you're not going to get an x minus 1. If your goal is to get an x minus 1 and the denominator there was 1, if you multiply an x to 1, it's just going to be x. So you have to multiply that whole thing, that whole x minus 1. So I got two more problems I just want to practice with you. with. So combination of today's lesson and yesterday's lesson should hopefully give you a little more practice on how to add and subtract these fractions, okay? So looking at the number 3 here, I have my whole number is 5. So once you've identified what your whole number is, first step is to put it over 1, okay? Next step after that is to find the common denominator. So 1 is a really generic number that I was trying to tell you here. So 1 is, don't really count it necessarily as a number. So we have, if we're choosing between 1 and x plus 2, or 1 and anything as a common denominator. So for example, if you had, what would be the common denominator for these two here in the black on the side? The common denominator would be 4, right? And so you know that because the 1 is, it's like you're multiplying the 1, it's a placeholder, you can think of it that way. So the real number that we care about is this 4. So the 1 is kind of like a placeholder. So if I wanted to get them to be the same, I'm going to multiply 4 to the top and bottom of that first fraction, okay? So it's the same idea here, even though it's an x plus 2, it's the same idea. This 1 is just a placeholder. So common denominator between these two would be x plus 2. Okay, the second fraction didn't change, so I can leave it as x minus 3. And then this first fraction, what did I have to multiply to the bottom? I had to multiply an x plus 2 there, so then that means I have to do that to the top. Okay, so on the top I'm going to end up with 5 times x plus 2. And so let's do the next step would be to combine everything into one fraction, so you keep the bottoms. Okay, and then on the top of the first fraction I have 5 times x plus 2. I see this minus sign. Let's make sure and see on in the numerator. So in the numerator I have two things. So remember what we did yesterday? That means I have to do minus, and when I have two things or more I have to put that numerator inside a parenthesis. Just like that. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of distributing. We're going to be distributing this 5 into here, in there, and then this negative into there, and there. Okay, so here we go. On the top I end up with 5x plus 10. When you distribute that 5 in, on the second part of the numerator, if you distribute a negative into that parentheses, it just ends up just changing the signs for those guys. So it ends up looking like that. All over x plus 2, combine like terms on the top, 5x and negative x will give you 4x, 10 plus 3, 13, and then on the bottom I have x plus 2. That's all I have. So there we go. Final answer 4x plus 13. Okay. Last one, number 4. What's a little different about this is I put 3 fractions this time, but you treat it the exact same way. So what do I have here? I have a x plus 5x plus 2 over x minus 1 minus 7 over x minus 1. Same process. Look for the whole number. So the whole number's right here. I'm going to put a 1 underneath it. Now looking at all the denominators, what's my common denominator? Common denominator for all of these is going to be an x minus 1. Okay, and since it's an x minus 1, the second and the third fraction, since they were already x minus 1s to begin with, they don't change. So I can just recopy the numerator. So the only thing that's going to change is the first fraction. So to get from 1 to x minus 1, I had to go x minus 1, x minus 1 like that. So on the top of that I'm going to have an x times x minus 1. Okay. Next step, remember, is to combine the tops and then leave the bottoms. So on the bottom I'm going to just end up with an x minus 1 looking like that. The top of the first one, x times x minus 1 plus 5, x plus 2. And then I have this minus sign again. Excuse me. This minus sign again. Look to the numerator. Oh my gosh, there's only one thing. Perfect. So I don't have to put in a parenthesis or anything. I can just recopy it since it's just by itself. Looking at the top, I have a distribute situation right here. Okay, so I'm going to distribute, and I have x squared minus x, and then everything from the plus sign over stays the same. So plus 5x plus 2 minus 7. Bottom stays the same. There's like the super long problem here. But I had to give you a challenge, right? Because these were getting a little too simple here. So I'm going to put this on the side right here. So on the top, let's combine like terms. There's nothing with the x squared. It's by itself, so I just rewrite it. Negative x plus 5x is 4x. 2 minus 7 is negative 5. And then we have x minus 1. And so, are we done? I hope you said no. You know why? Because looking at the top, it looks like I might be able to factor that guy. So, x squared, x squared and plus 4x minus 5. Here we go. We got 1 and 1. I have 5 and 1. The second sign is a minus, so what does that tell me? That tells me when I get to the final answer here, the final answer is going to be 2 parentheses with opposite signs. So let's see if this works out. And then also minus means I'm going to subtract these guys to get the middle number. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. Who has the bigger arrow and who gets to get the plus? The 5 gets the plus, this one gets the minus. So remember, we group them going across. So I have x plus 5, and then x minus 1. That's the top. Then on the bottom, I still had that x minus 1. What do you think I'm going to do now with this? Oops. What do you think I'm going to do now with these x minus 1s? You get to cancel out. Cancel. Cancel. What's left over for this? Only thing that's there is an x plus 5. So that was kind of mean of me to do that and give you 3 that were really simple, and then the last one was a tough one. But I had to do it so you could see what one of the difficult ones would look like, okay? So remember, all the time, try and check and make sure if you can factor or not. And that's it.